Okay, this video is why don't you stick to food? I'm actually redoing it because the last time I did it, I kind of screwed it up that I forgot to turn off the recording button. There's like about 15 minutes and no content. So I'm just going to do it over again. It should only end up being about 10 minutes. The name of the video, why don't you stick to food? And where this comes from is I've had several different people who, very nice of them, they offered to help with the channel, like for search engine optimization or editing videos. And I've had other people comment to me. They say things like, why don't you make separate video channels for every topic you talk about? One for, literature, philosophy, religion, or politics or other things. And they go, and then keep all the nutrition separate. And I'm like, you don't understand me. You don't know me. I only got about one day and a half a week to work on this channel. And I have a lot of fun with it. It's a hobby. It's not a business. I don't have time to do anything fancy or market or whatever. And then also, I don't think this channel could ever be popular because I tell people the truth. The truth is quite often controversial, unpleasant, etc. And that's never going to be popular. You look at all these phony nutrition so-called experts out there promoting all this junk food, olive oil, soy, caffeine, tea, nuts, all this stuff. They got millions of views. I'm lucky, what I get, an average of 200 or something, 250, maybe on a good day. So that's okay. I realize I could never make this YouTube channel popular in that sense. But I could make it great. That's what I'm trying to do. And by the way, all these people, they kind of disappear. They get a little nervous. Oh my gosh, he's promoting, he likes the music I don't like or something else. It just is what it is. I have to be myself if I'm going to make it authentic, genuine, and good. So that's just what it's going to be. I just get an idea and crank it out like that. There's no planning or strategy or anything, because if I did that, there would never be enough time to do anything. I think that in the long run, I want this to be a good site, that it's good. And if let's say my channel gets banned, hopefully it won't, but if it does, I'll go to Rumble and Twitter. I've got a little bit of stuff at those other places, but I don't have any marketing at those places, so I don't, I get hardly any views. YouTube's got the best audience, the most people by far. And also I look around, there's no one else on the internet doing what I'm doing in terms of going into the real detailed biochemistry and trying to really understand how things relate. What's the relationship between hypertension, diabetes, cancer, and all these other diseases, dementia. And that's actually fascinating stuff. I really wish I could do this full time. I find this really interesting. I really enjoy it. Also, I think the art, the music, the literature, philosophy, religious stuff is like the most important stuff on the channel, because the public schools, as well as all the divorced families, have led to people just being kind of lost, okay? They don't know much about religion or history. They're sort of ahistorical. And, religion's important. It unifies a population. And basically also, they've been tricked into thinking this modern art, fake garbage, is good, or crappy books that are not about anything positive and ennobling. Good literature, music, and art should be ennobling. It should, give you an elevated view of the potential of life. So I think we're either going to return in the United States to a biblical worldview that man is created in the image of God, and Christian ethics. I don't mean everybody should be a Christian. You don't have to be a Christian, but the idea of Christian ethics, love thy neighbor, be nice to each other, try to help each other, give each other the benefit of the doubt. All of that stuff leads to a much better country, and it'll hold the country together. If you don't, the default option, everybody, you want to meditate, go ahead. You want to be Buddhist, Zen, Hindu, whatever you want, that's nice. But there's really only two competing views in America that are going to determine societal ethics. There's either atheistic Darwinism, which is the dominant form in the university system. And look what it's done to the university system. It's turned the universities into a joke. Or there's the old-fashioned biblical worldview with Christian ethics, okay? And everybody can be in that. That doesn't exclude anybody. Everybody's welcome in that. And basically, if it goes atheistic Darwinism, that is the creation story for eugenics, okay? And that will lead to an electronic communist slavery state held together by force, because there is no unifying metaphysics or value system there. It's all just fake stuff. And, look around the world. Look at, ever since the beginning of recorded history, almost all countries have been, slavery run by a tyrant. Look at Stalin, Mao, North Korea, and other tyrants. They always want to get rid of Christianity, because Christianity says man is created in the image of God. Therefore, all men, even the lowest peasant, is equal to the ruler in the eyes of God. And it provides an alternative worldview, an appeal to outside, besides just some ruler's arbitrary way of doing things. And so it generates freedom, okay? Without it, the average citizen will have no natural rights, will have zero rights, And I would rather be a meat eater and be free than be a slave vegan. Okay, I want to be healthy, and I'd also like to be free intellectually, physically. In the United States, the Democratic Party is basically the United States Communist Party. Okay, that's what they are. They don't want free speech. They don't want the Constitution to continue. They want to bankrupt the country because poor people are easier to control. They want to combine Canada and Mexico with the United States into this North American Union. They want to run the place like China with 24/7 electronic surveillance, social credit scores so that if you don't obey some arbitrary rule, they'll block out your credit and you can't get food, you starve and die or something worse. They want a digital currency they can control everything, a cashless society. They want widespread poverty, again, to make people poor and easy to control. Just minimum wage workers. They don't want you to have a gas stove or a gas-powered car. They can turn off an electric car remotely with a remote control very easily. Can't travel much of a distance. The latest I think coming up is that there shouldn't be any rice because rice is bad for the environment. BS. Rice has fed people, billions of people for, thousands and thousands of years. They want these so-called 15-minute cities, makes everybody all tight together, easy to control. Zero freedom of speech. Well, if you can't have freedom of speech, that's slavery. Because if, Thomas Shaw's a famous psychiatrist had said, he who defines dominates. And basically, if you have to accept the definitions of society and meaning that are all wanting you to be a slave, then you will be a slave and you're not allowed to speak your opinion. What is that? Anybody who's read the history of the 1900s, Russia, Germany, China, Vietnam, North Korea, it's obvious. All of this stuff is just a repeat, except with the addition of the modern technology, okay? Read the history of the fall of Rome, okay? You'll see the exact same things. It's just with modern technology. And then the other thing, too, is look at the founding of this country. In 1776, there were 95% very devout Christians. And here's what I got this one thing, this whole set, American Heritage videos, David Barton's history. Here, I can show you some more of it. This whole DVD course, American history, American Heritage history. It's obvious, okay? And I've read a couple biographies of founding fathers, including several on Thomas Jefferson. They're a bunch of religious fanatics by the modern standards. Thomas Jefferson, who they say was not that religious, the guy was in several Bible studies. He read the Bible every day in multiple different languages. He promoted it to his kids, to all the students at University of Virginia, to his friends, to the different subgroups of the United States population. He wrote different versions of it. He tried to modify it. The guy was a religious fanatic by modern standards, okay? And then a lot of stuff you see around you is really almost like a psyop. All this estrogenic stuff being put in the food and the water, feminized population through these estrogenic chemicals makes people easier to control, to conquer, to enslave. An open border, collapse of the economy, promotion of atheism weakens people too, promotion of divorce to break up all the families. All of this stuff is all going away from freedom. Here's a picture of the founding fathers. Here, let me shrink my little picture here. So basically, this is what they did. They had church services in all the buildings of that time, the Capitol buildings and the related buildings. This was normal. And Jefferson went to church every Sunday, and all the other government buildings. They all had their religious meetings in these buildings, okay? They had Christian religious services in all these buildings, all of the founding fathers, okay? And there wasn't just a few guys. There was in terms of all the persons who signed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and were involved in the meetings about it, it was hundreds of men, all right? And like Thomas Jefferson wrote look at all the things he did. Trust me, it was way more religious than you could imagine. Okay, here's Thomas Jefferson, the main author of the Declaration of Independence. Ben Franklin and John Adams, they helped with the editing of it. And they were strongly schooled. Most of their ideas came from the Christian pastors of that time, largely Protestant. Also, some of the other philosophers like John Locke, for example. Thomas Jefferson greatly admired John Locke and Isaac Newton as well, who was super religious. He spent more time writing about religion than science. And Declaration of Independence was in 1776. And here's some of the things that were in that. He said, all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator, by God, with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They're allowed to live their own life, to pursue their own happiness. That's freedom, okay? Thomas Jefferson also said later, a Bill of Rights is what the people are entitled to everywhere on earth. Okay, he was major promoter of freedom. All right, let's take a look here. I got another picture here. Here is the Continental Congress in 1787. And basically, it was presided over by G.W. here. And there's some other people here. This is Ben Franklin. Here's Alexander Hamilton. That looks like Thomas Jefferson. I actually think Thomas Jefferson was in France at the time, but I thought that would look like Thomas Jefferson a little bit. But anyways, all of these guys had been brutalized by Britain, but luckily enough, the USA was able to free itself from Britain. You know, I'm half Irish, and my family in Ireland, they could not free themselves from the British, and the British were terrible to the Irish. My other half of my family, my mother's from Puerto Rico, and they were treated very badly in the early 1900s, okay, colonized, and that's why they're so crazy waving their flags out of the car, because they were treated so bad in the past. So anyways, hopefully America will continue to have some freedom. I do make a wide variety of posts on this site because I want to make it good and entertaining and put stuff that I think is useful and stuff that you can't find anywhere else. So hopefully we'll all be nice to each other and help each other, and America can keep some freedom and still be a wonderful place that everybody wants to go to.